What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, man? It's your boy Jeremy back with another episode of No Huddle. Got my guy in the building, man. What's going on, man?
What's going on, people? It's
Yes,
Hassan
sir.
the African. Happy Black History Month to you and yours, man. Excited
Yes,
for
sir.
the season finale.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we want to welcome y'all to the finale, as my boy said, the finale of season number one. This is just season number one. So we got some more for y'all. This ain't the last show, but it's the last show of the season. So we just want to welcome y'all to another episode of No Huddle. We definitely have been really appreciating y'all support, man. We ask that y'all continue to support us. Support us by liking the show, liking the videos, commenting on the videos, sharing the videos, and also going to YouTube and subscribing to the channel Fan of Atlanta 365, man. Tell everybody, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your dog, tell your cat, tell your snake, tell your rat, and throw in your pet turtle if you have one, man. Welcome to another episode, the finale episode of No Huddle. So before we get going, as you all know, it is Black History Month, so we kind of wanted to, give you guys our our thoughts about Black History Month and what it means to us. So hey man, what does Black History mean to you?
Man, it means royalty, perseverance. It means an appreciation of a deep and interesting culture.
Yeah.
It means bridging the gaps between the mother continent and the children of the diaspora, and all of the beauty and richness and just ingenuity and all that has come from both of those areas. Um, and it just means, just growth and progress
Oh
and
yeah.
appreciation of what has happened and an excitement as to what's going to happen.
Yeah.
What about you,
Yeah.
man?
Yeah, I definitely ditto to everything you said. But for me, Black History Month is just a lot of things intertwined into one. You got resiliency, just coming from where our ancestors, had to begin and to where we are now. It takes a lot of resiliency to do that. Also just understanding that we are where we are because of the people who paved the way. We wouldn't be able to do this show, or if we were able to do this show, we wouldn't be able to do this show for the viewers that the diverse viewers that we may have. So due to our ancestors, they made this world, or this especially this country, a better place. Still got a long way to go. However, we're where we're at, and I think I look forward to seeing what we can be in the future. But like you said, going back to just what we have done, what we're doing now, and what we will be doing in the future, to me is all Black history. And I wish that Black History Month was not just a month. It should be every day, because Black people struggle. We still struggle every day, still to this day. But I think it should be longer than the shortest month in the year. But I digress on that. But yeah, so just Black History Month for me is pride, it's love for my people, and just celebrating us, man. We got a lot to celebrate. We some awesome people, some kings and some queens, some gods and goddesses. So I just felt like it means a lot to me, man. So it's who I am, it's what I am, and it's what I will always be. Can't take that away from me. But yeah, so
Yeah, man. Black history is American history. We say
oh
what
yeah.
we say.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be no American history without Black history. You know what I'm saying? We built this country. We did a lot for this country. We pretty much built this country on our back. So so shout out to all my Black people. Happy Black History Month. Definitely take time to just reminisce and just think about the people who paved the way. Think about even the history that we're making today. And are you a part of the solution, or are you a part of the problem? It's what you should always think about when you're thinking about Black history, even just American history. I love us, man. I like his shirt. It says say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud, man. That's a real saying. So definitely shout out to all my Black people in the world, man.
Shout out, man. I'm feeling that shirt too, man.
Yeah.
History. That's true.
Yeah.
One quote that I've seen before, I think, is we are our ancestors' greatest dreams and biggest prayers. So,
Right. Right.
That means
Hey,
something.
shout out. Yes, before we get going, man, shout out to you, Super Knight, man. This man been in the chat box before we even went live. He was already ready, man. You know, he ready for the finale. He said, "What's good? What's going on, man? What's going on?" He said, "Happy Black History Month. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that." He said, "I'm proud to be a Black American man." Hey, that. Oh shoot, I didn't went out. Hey, we appreciate you, man. It's all love, bro. You know, hey. I'm Black and I'm proud. That's all I gotta say. You know what I'm saying? And he said, "Nice shirt, man. Appreciate it. But yeah. Oh, what you about to say?
All I was gonna say is I appreciate that. And if anybody who likes this shirt, this is actually one of my people's Bless Period. That's the name of the group that created the shirt. If you're interested, you can hit up Cousin Paul. That's Cuzzin Paul, all one. He's on YouTube. Bless.period is the name of the company. If you Google that, you'll be able to find this kind of shirt and a bunch of other stuff. So shout out to them. Black-owned business. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, man. Shout out to Cousin Paul, man.
Yeah, man. Shout him out. And he's an awesome comedian as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely a funny guy. But yeah, so like I said, we want to just welcome y'all to another episode of No Huddle with Jeramy and Hassan, man. Like I said, this is the season finale. We will be back next season, but this is the last one. But we got some special lined up for y'all. Instead of doing, I think we normally do 4 topics or 3 topics in the picks. Today we giving y'all 5 topics, man. You know, and some Super Bowl picks. So y'all definitely got, some special, cooking up for y'all today. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. You got anything before we get going?
Oh, man, I don't want the people to know why I'm right. Let's get it.
All right, man. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go and get our little, tick at the bottom. We're gonna go ahead and jump into it, man. We got this great topic. Man. As we all know, Sean Payton has taken the head coaching position for the Denver Broncos for this upcoming season and the foreseeable future. So the question is, can Sean Payton turn the Denver Broncos into a playoff team next season? Hey, man, what you think?
I think he can. It might be unpopular opinion, but I think he can. And the reason it might be unpopular opinion because people say, man, look at that conference, look at that division, especially, you got Patrick Mahomes and you got Justin Herbert. And y'all know how I feel about Justin Herbert, but that's a conversation for another day. And they'll say, there are other teams. Yeah, that's true. However, look at his track record. Sean Payton is, for all intents and purposes, one of, if not the greatest offensive minds over the past decade. And he did it with at the time, he did it with a gamble throwaway quarterback who was an afterthought for the Chargers. When Drew Brees didn't get re-signed by the Chargers, they let him walk. He unfortunately had the shoulder injury. And then lo and behold, he took a chance on him. He's a smaller quarterback. And he built a budding dynasty in the NFC South.
Right.
The other thing too, yes, Russell Wilson is not Drew Brees, and I'm not trying to make that comparison. But what I am saying is Sean Payton has a history of being able to put his quarterbacks in positions to be successful, and especially with a smaller quarterback. I believe Drew Brees and Russell Wilson are about the same in terms of playing height. So you give him a similar sized quarterback who's slightly more athletic and give him young up-and-coming receivers who aren't necessarily household names. You give him arguably a top 10 defense.
Right.
That spells low-key recipe for success. I mean, and another comparison, although it's not the same, but we saw a championship caliber defense be this close to making the playoffs in the AFC, albeit another division, but in the Jets. The Jets have a championship caliber defense. They had a strong, no-nonsense head coach
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that held them back was quarterback play. And I mean, yes, I'm not saying that Russell Wilson was better than Zach Wilson or Mike White or vice versa. But what I am saying is, given the track record of a Drew Brees, given the fact that they have a young core that are all signed, all, under contract for not just one, but several years, who's to say it's not possible? Injuries happen.
Yeah.
Players, teams that are powerhouses and like a lock into the playoffs one year aren't the same the next year. Look at the Rams, for example. Look at the Cardinals, for example. Those were two teams that were in the playoffs last year that aren't. Although, again, that's the NFC. But my point is, a lot of things can happen, but I don't think it's unreasonable to think that he could take a playoff caliber team, especially if he brings in his own defensive coach. There have been talks about Vic Fangio coming back as a defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a good look. There are probably a bunch of defensive coordinators that would want to pair up with a Sean Payton. So I think so. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely think Sean Payton can coach this team up to get them in, to make them a playoff contender next season. We know the Broncos, they are structured to make a playoff push. We know that. And we felt like Russell Wilson was the missing piece. However, I think the last coaching regime wasn't the best for Russell Wilson. So getting a head coach that knows what he's looking at, he's an offensive minded, mastermind. I think it's gonna help, revitalize whatever Russell Wilson has left in the tank. So I think Sean Payton is the perfect coach for this situation. Although they don't have many draft picks because they traded a lot of their draft picks trying to get Russell Wilson, and they may not have as much money as they need to. However, I think with Sean Payton bringing in some guys that fits his scheme, I think you should be able to see a turnaround. Also, this defense is pretty good. Like, this defense is no pushover. You have Patrick Surtain on that defense, who's probably arguably the best player on that defense. But you match them up with the offense that can at least put up some points, which we know Sean Payton, he knows how to dial them up. He's like the older version of Kyle Shanahan. Yep. So you put him with this team. You have Jerry Jeudy, you have Cortland Sutton. Hopefully you can bring back KJ Hamler, all those guys, and just get this thing going. I think they can make it. It's just you only can go as far as Russell Wilson can take you, because we all know that this season was pretty much mostly his fault. He didn't really play good. He wasn't able to see the throws that he normally would see, and his improvising skills showed decline. But I feel like with Sean Payton, bringing his concepts to the field, I think it's definitely going to be a recipe for Russell Wilson to regain that trust and I guess that level of play that he had in Seattle. I believe that signing Sean Payton re-energizes the Broncos fans, because as we know, the Broncos, they have a hardcore fan base. And I think last year with Russell Wilson, just not doing well, it was a lot of booing. It was a lot of leaving games early because the game is pretty much out of hand, and it's embarrassing. And I think with Sean Payton coming, it gives these fans hope that maybe he can be the one that turns Russell Wilson back into the old Russell Wilson that we thought we were getting, because we pretty much stuck with him. We have to at least be stuck with him for the next 3 years, because we gave him this big contract along with losing so many draft picks for the future. So it's kind of like we banking on this man. So I think Sean Payton just builds that trust and that hope for the fan base in Denver. And then Sean Payton is a coach that gets to buy the groceries, he get to prepare the meals, and he get to serve the meals. So at the end of the day, he's going to be in total control. No GM. It's going to be him. He's going to call the plays. He's going to be the head coach, and then he's going to find a competent defensive coordinator that can get this defense together and I think that's a recipe for success. Coming into this season. Now, can they win a Super Bowl? Probably not. Probably not a Super Bowl contending team. But the question was, can they make it to the playoffs? I think they can make it to the playoffs. Yes, you're in the division with Patrick Mahomes, who's about to play in a Super Bowl next week. The Chargers did make the playoffs, but sometimes you get the good Chargers, sometimes you get the bad Chargers. They're inconsistent. The Las Vegas Raiders, they won't have Derek Carr. So will they go get a quarterback in the draft, or will they trade for Aaron Rodgers or someone like that? We don't know, but it's the Raiders. Are the Raiders going to be a playoff team? We still have to see what they're going to do at the quarterback position. I think they have the talent. However, we don't know what they're going to do at the quarterback position. And then we know the Broncos. We felt like, hey, if Russell Wilson can just play 75% as good as he was when he was in Seattle, I think you can win with that. So I do think that they can make the wild card. Maybe not win the division. They can definitely make the wild card.
Not one or two things in relation to Sean Payton as it pertains to the Broncos. So the first thing, I think Nathaniel Hackett, he was. It appears he was sent there because they thought that they could get Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
It didn't happen. Right. So then you got the consolation prize of another future Hall of Famer, borderline first ballot Hall of Famer in Russell Wilson, at least the Seattle version, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, Nathaniel Hackett didn't really call plays.
Right.
So, because he was with Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur came from the Sean McVay coaching tree. And most of those guys called plays. Even though, so by what I mean by that, most of those guys, a guy like Matt LaFleur called plays, even though it was Sean McVay's offense. He had a say-so in calling plays. Another guy, Zach Taylor, who is the head coach of the Bengals, also had some involvement in calling plays, even though he was the quarterback coach. Kevin O'Connell is another one. Those guys coming from the Sean McVay tree, they called plays. They had input in offenses, and they were set up to be head coaches eventually. I don't think that was the same setup for Nathaniel Hackett. He was connected to arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. And I guess the expectation was he would have brought Aaron Rodgers over. That didn't happen. And he was like, well, I'll still make it work. I got a Hall of Fame level quarterback. But the thing is, Nathaniel Hackett has shown that he's not there yet in terms of being a coach, commanding a locker room, leading other men, outside of maybe a position group.
Right.
It's a jump to go from, position coach or OC for offense where you're not really calling plays to then not just taking over a franchise, but taking over a historic franchise that has a lot of expectations, a lot of winning culture, and has won championships with Hall of Fame coaches. He was way in over his head. Sean Payton, that will not be the case.
Right.
From day one, everyone will know, from the owner to the janitor to the cafeteria staff, they will know who is in charge of the Broncos from a day-to-day coaching standpoint. And all this, and even with the way Russell Wilson came in, he did a lot to try to motivate the fan base. And he played it up, like, I'm the savior, Broncos country, let's ride, and all that stuff.
Right.
And Sean Payton's not going for that. If you notice, Drew Brees was there for a lot of years. And he did his commercials. He did these things and that things. But at the end of the day, the voice, the face of the franchise outside of Drew Brees was Sean Payton.
Right.
And one could argue that Sean Payton continued to be the face of the franchise, even with a Hall of Fame quarterback. So he will know how to handle a Hall of Fame perennial Pro Bowler and how to command a team. The decision-making will be a lot cleaner. You won't see these questionable calls on offense or game management, clock management, all the things that basically Hackett failed at or struggled with. Those are things that Sean Payton has shown he knows what to do. So all that being said, I like
the hire. I didn't expect it, honestly. I didn't think that they were gonna be able to convince him. But when you're the wealthiest owners in the NFL,
right,
and there's no salary cap as
right.
it pertains to paying coaches,
Mm-hmm.
so we'll see.
Yeah.
Because Yusuke Knight said, "Yeah, we'll see."
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, definitely. Sean Payton, to me, he's gonna do what he see. Okay, what is Russell Wilson's strengths, and he's gonna play to that. That's one thing about Sean Payton. He knows how to scout. Like, okay, what do we do best? How can we attack it, and how can we disguise what we're doing, but keep doing the same? Like, he's gonna make sure he maximizes on Russell Wilson. He's gonna give Russell Wilson a chance to prove that, hey, your career is not over. You're no longer about to be what we saw last year. We're gonna increase you. So I think Sean Payton is the perfect coach for Russell Wilson, because Russell Wilson never really had an offensive minded coach, I don't believe. Where and I think him having somebody that knows what they're looking at, that has coached the best, I think he's going to get the best out of Russell Wilson. Who knows? He may have one of the best seasons of his career. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. But at the same time, like I said, if he could just be 75% of what he was in Seattle, I think that's enough to win in the AFC and and get to the playoffs. So
absolutely,
we'll see.
We're gonna see.
Yep. Yeah. So that was another great topic going in the books, man. And I'm surprised, like you said, Sean Payton, I was surprised he took that job, because I just knew the Chargers was going to be a place that he may go, but the Chargers decided to stick with their coach. I felt like maybe Houston. I felt like Houston as well, but I think Sean Payton wanted to be with a team that's on the verge, and I think Houston probably would have been that team that was just like, we got a lot of rebuilding, and I don't think Sean Payton wants to leave where he was to come and do that. But the Broncos, definitely a good place for them. They already have a better fan base than New Orleans has. So you're definitely gonna get them riled up every Sunday, and they have an expectation. So Sean Payton definitely, I think he strives under high expectations. So we will definitely see.
Right.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get to the next topic. The next topic is. Oh, why I keep going out? Okay, here we go.
I want us to win, man.
Yeah. So as we all know, the season has come. Pretty much the regular season has come to the end. The playoffs is almost over. We got one more game, the big game, which we'll discuss a little later. But every season there's always that one game that just stands out to you. So the question is, which game was the best and which game was the worst game of 2022? What you got for the best one?
So for me, there were a couple that stood out to me. Like, for example, the Bears-Eagles game. That was a good one. You know what I mean? Especially with the dramatic come from behind. But my favorite, and I felt like the best game, was the Vikings Bills overtime comeback. That was my best game of 2022. I mean, going into halftime, I believe the Vikings were down 17,
right,
and they stormed all the way back. There were a few lead changes, a few turnovers that led into, and it was just a thrilling game. And I also feel like seeing the trajectory of those two teams and how that game impacted them, because at that point, the Bills, I think they had lost like 2 games, but people still expected them to be, the front runner of the AFC.
Right.
And the Vikings surprised a lot of people up until that point. And it was like, but they strung together some wins. I was like, all right, but there was this, they ain't play anybody yet.
Right.
And I think going into that game, a lot of people expected automatically, all right, the Bills are gonna win this game outright, and I think by the Vikings winning the game, especially the way they won it, they went off on a tear and won all of these games in a row after that until they got blown away, I believe, by the Cowboys.
Right.
But leading up to the game, like they were middle of the pack. They were decent. I was like, all right, exceeding expectations slightly, because I don't think anybody came into the season expecting them to
pretty much run away with the division and
Mm-hmm.
make it to the playoffs. They thought, all right, a decent season, maybe they'll fight for a wild card. But after that, they just went off on a tear. And I think that was the game where the Bills really you started to see how exposed they really were.
Right.
They couldn't necessarily put teams away, and they were overly reliant on like perfection almost from Josh Allen. So all of that combined, and the score, I mean, it was a 33-30 game. It went to overtime. That's my best game of 2022. What about you?
Got you. So for my game, if you're an Atlanta Falcon fan, you will love this game because and what makes a great game, of course, we want it to be like playoff implications on the line, right, or division, the division is on the line. But this game had neither one of those. But what it did have an overtime or a close game. The whole game, it was close. It was a nail biter. It was a division rivalry. We play each other twice, and it's always the 85. I guess it's the battle of the 80 Highway 85 or something like that. But this game was so close. The Atlanta Falcons ended up winning this game, but it was Week 8 against the Carolina Panthers. That was a dog fight, man. Like it came all the way down to the end. And I think PJ Walker threw a bomb on fourth and long, threw a bomb to DJ Moore, and DJ Moore ended up catching the bomb, took it to the house, and they were up. We just knew, oh man, the Carolina Panthers done won this game. And then Marcus Mariota leads the team down. I think we kick a field goal. We go up by either 1 or 2. Can't remember the score. But then we go up by 3. Carolina Panthers come down. They kick a field goal. We go into overtime, and overtime, that's when you see like the Falcons just kind of like drive down the field. They get like a field goal, something like that, and then Carolina goes down, and the kicker just pretty much put the kick all the way to the left, and we won the game. But that game was iconic because that's when Steve Wilkes, I think it was his first game taking over as the Carolina Panthers coach, interim head coach, but also it put him on the map to show that, hey, we traded Christian McCaffrey. There's no Christian McCaffrey. Baker Mayfield didn't work out, so we started PJ Walker, and just seeing how they competed against us at that time, it was just like, man, that was just mind blowing because it was a good game from beginning all the way to the end, and it ended on a bad kick, a shank to the left. Right. But we saw PJ Walker put up 317 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 19 for 36. But then Dante Foreman was killing us, man. We could not stop him. He had 118 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 26 carries. And then you had DJ Moore, who went above 52 with 1 touchdown, which was the game, what we thought was the game-winning touchdown, and he has only 6 receptions. But then you had Marcus Mariota, who had a decent game. He went 253 yards in the air, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and went 20 for 28. At that time, I think that was his best completion percentage, during his time in Atlanta. But like I said, Eric Pinerio missed the game-winning field goal, and the Falcons ended up celebrating because I think that was the game we also took the lead in the division from Tampa Bay, and we had it for like a week or two, and then the rest was history. The Falcons ended up we went from first all the way to last. We finished the season last place. Carolina, I think they had a chance to win the division, but then they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Tampa Bay ended up going to the playoffs, losing in the first round. But that game was just one of the best games that the Atlanta Falcons played that was close. And we came out with the dub.
I dig that. That was a good game though. And,
yeah.
Shout out to Steve Wilkes, who
didn't
get a fair shake.
Yeah.
I think we discussed that enough. But hopefully with some of these vacancies that are out, he gets a better opportunity. But yeah, he proved that he is a damn good coach, and that he's at least capable of getting an opportunity should it present.
Yep. So we're gonna go ahead and switch over to the next topic. Where we at? My son, he not occupied no more. So the next one we got, as we all know, there was a lot of free agency pickups this offseason, the first the offseason going into the season. And it was a lot of we got to see what worked and what didn't work. So in this topic, we're gonna discuss what was the best / worst free agent signing of 2022. Who you got, bro?
Oh, there were a few. I'm not even gonna lie. There were a few that really stood out to me. But when I look at it, I'm looking at it from, okay, who got the most bang for their buck? And I got to go with, shout out to like Hassan Reddick's contract, 3 years, $45 million. And they got a guy who was second in the league in sacks. Or a guy like Patrick Peterson, who is pretty much on the end of his career. But I think his deal was like 1 million, 1 year for $1 million or $4 million plus incentives. And they got 5 interceptions from him this year.
Yeah.
But the one that really stood out to me was James Bradberry. James Bradberry was probably the best free agent signing because, like, he was a throwaway cap cut casualty from within that division. The Giants couldn't afford to or didn't strike a deal with him, so they cut him. And he was kind of like an afterthought. And the Eagles already had Darius Slay. They had some solid players on the defense. They had picked up a guy like Hassan Reddick. But I don't think people were expecting those two to gel so well. And for Bradberry to basically, at some games, he was the best corner or the best DB on that defense, period. And that defense went from being a middle of the pack defense to being a top 3 defense. And they went from being a middle of the pack defense and pass defense to being number 3 in pass defense and in the top 5 of a lot of defensive passing stats. And they got it from a guy, again, who was kind of like an afterthought at that point. So for me, the best signing was James Bradberry. Do you want to do your best signing and then I'll do my worst, or do you want
to
go it up?
I come on in. We probably got a visitor.
Hey.
We have a visitor. His face too nasty for the camera right now. But for me, I gotta agree with you, James Bradberry. There was plenty other good ones. Tyreek Hill. We saw how he helped turn the Miami Dolphins around.
But he was more of a trade, right? Or did they
let him
trade?
Yes, he was a trade. No, you're right. He was a trade. So scratch him off the list. 4-year Aloquan, who led the league in tackles, helped the Jacksonville Jaguars, win their division and actually win the playoff game. Devontae Adams for the Las Vegas Raiders. We thought that he wasn't gonna. Well, we knew he was gonna. Well, I guess I didn't. I thought he was gonna not be good with the Las Vegas Raiders, mainly because I felt like Derek Carr would be the reason why he won't be able to, have the success that he had in Green Bay. But he did show that, hey, no, I'm that guy, So he was pretty good. And Rashaan Evans for the Atlanta Falcons, for me, he definitely added some depth and some leadership to this Atlanta Falcons defense. But you have to be a Falcon fan or a person who watched the NFL to understand his impact. But for me, it's James Bradberry. To go undefeated almost in the regular season, him and Slade was just – they was locking dudes down, bro.
Seriously.
Locking dudes down. And I just felt like huh?
No, I was agreeing with you. Week in and week out, they were locking dudes down. You're right.
Right. And like you said, coming from the Giants where he was seen as an afterthought, I remember him in Carolina. He used to go against Julio Jones a lot. So I was familiar with him. But the Giants got him, and they thought that he was washed up. And then, the Eagles was like, hey, we see some gem. We see a diamond in that trash that y'all threw out. So so he joined the Eagles, and we saw what happened. Now here he is about to play for a Super Bowl. So James Bradberry for me was the best free agent signing this season.
Right.
Because before you get going, there was a lot of big moves. just a lot of big moves that we thought
Right.
like, okay, you should help this team, but unfortunately, people like Khalil Mack really couldn't make a big impact.
Right.
So I think James Bradberry to help be a contributing factor to the success of Philadelphia making it all the way to the Super Bowl. That speaks volumes to James Bradberry and Darius Slay and just that defense and that offense as a whole, that team. So I think James Bradberry as well.
Right. So my worst free agent signing, and I might be biased because I picked one player for the best signing from my hometown team, but my worst free agent signing was Allen Robinson. 3 years, $46.5 million with $30 million guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a whopping 33 catches, and by we meaning the Rams, 339 yards and 3 TDs. And he was expected to be a number 2 and possibly, depending on the circumstance, being a number 1 type of receiver for the current reigning Super Bowl champion Rams, soon to be former Super Bowl champion Rams. And it's not just the fact that he was injured. It is what it is. He ended up on injured reserve. But even when he was playing throughout the year, he couldn't get separation. He never was on the same page with Matthew Stafford.
Yep.
He looks out of place. And now that team is hamstrung to him for at least another 2, at least another season, if not 2, because of all the guaranteed money they gave him.
Yeah.
It's like we honestly didn't need him from a Ram fan standpoint. He was a luxury pick that we didn't need, and it left the cupboard bare. Mm. So we didn't have enough money to maybe focus on, offensive line depth or getting a competent running back who could compete with a Cam Akers,
right?
And maybe a better 1-2 punch.
Yeah,
it left us kind of high and dry, and now we're, as a Rams fan, this Rams team is the worst performing Super Bowl champion or former Super Bowl champion into the following season after winning.
Yeah,
I've seen teams collapse from Super Bowl hangover, fine, but the way in which the Rams collapsed is unprecedented. And a large part of it is because we spent so much money on one guy, and he's shown to be inefficient with this offense. So that's my worst signing.
Yeah, I guess we was both reading each other's notes because I got Allen Robinson as well. I
hate to say it because he's from Penn State, man. He was a dope player.
I just knew after he came from Chicago, not having good quarterbacks and still putting up the yardage, you like, man, you joining the Super Bowl contender, the Super Bowl champions. You got Cooper Kupp, you got Matthew Stafford throwing that thing. Like, it's a recipe for success, you would think. But he just couldn't get it going. And even when Cooper Kupp went out, it was pretty much just done with. But I did have some other guys. Casey Hayward for me. I thought Casey Hayward was going to be that tandem that James Bradberry and Darius Slay end up being. I thought with him and AJ Terrell, that's gonna be awesome. We're gonna get to play some man to man. That's what Dean Pease wants to play, and he just didn't show up. You saw him getting beat a lot, just catching all over him. So he just wasn't that guy that we thought he was gonna be. But then also, and I don't know if this was a free agent signing. I think it was. I think he got cut before the Carolina Panthers did sign him, and that's Baker Mayfield.
He was actually a trade. He was actually a trade, Chief. Believe it or not, he was a trade. I guess whoever controls the internet is the Baker Mayfield fan. Yeah, he was a trade, Chief.
Trade, okay.
Yeah,
all right, so I'll lay off him.
No.
I lay off him. But you're first round, you're number 1 pick overall, bro. And when are you gonna show me that you were worth the pick? But you was traded, so I give you that one. But for me, it was definitely Allen Robinson. He could have. I felt like coming to a better team, you're supposed to get better. Juju Smith-Schuster, we saw his play increase as the year went by. You know, what's his name? Kadarius Toney coming from, you know, the Giants to the Kansas City Chiefs, and we saw the impact that he has made to help the Chiefs get to where they're at. Right. When you're joining another team where you have more talent, that's when you're supposed to, you know, be able to show up. And we just didn't see anything that we saw from when he was in Jacksonville. I think he started with Jacksonville, right. And then even in Chicago, where he actually made his name in Chicago, we didn't see that. We didn't even see half of that, or a little right. piece of that. We didn't see that. So for me, yeah, it's definitely Allen Robinson as well.
Again, man. It's twice because, again, he's a Penn State alum, excellent career there, and then, you know, now he's on my favorite team, and we're hamstrung with him. I'm really hoping that Sean McVay can figure out a way to maybe put him in better positions, because at this point in his career, he's definitely a possession receiver.
Yeah.
Maybe they figure something out. But yeah, it looked really bad. It looked like a bad marriage off rip.
And the thing about it, I was hoping that my Falcons was gonna be able to bring them in. I'm just happy we did it. I'm happy we did it, man.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank y'all. Because I mean, you know what? The Rams owe us a lot anyway. From them, that Steven Jackson and that Todd Gurley. Yeah, I mean, y'all ran them into the ground, and next thing you know, we get them, and they act like they ain't never played football a day in their life.
Listen, so we were smart enough to let them go.
Mm-hmm.
We left them out on the curb just because y'all dusted them off and said, "Oh, I can make something work with this." That's not on us. Y'all know where y'all found them.
Yeah. So y'all owe us anyway.
On them two. They two of my favorite running backs in Rams history, but yeah, that ain't on us, Chief.
Yeah.
Y'all took our leftovers. We left them where we left them for a reason.
Yeah, but you know, so we're gonna go ahead and switch to the next topic. We're moving fast, but we had a lot of topics, so definitely got a good little momentum thing going. So we're gonna get to the next topic, and that is, wow, did I not type it in? Okay, well I'm gonna go off the cuff with this one. So now we're gonna get to what was the best / worst trade in 2022. Who you got, bro?
Ooh. Okay, so you want me to go best or worst first?
Let's go worst first.
Ooh. Can't wait. Okay, so it's a 3-way tie. No, I ain't gonna do that. But no, there were some suspect trades. You alluded to one. Baker Mayfield was in a good trade. Carson Wentz also wasn't a good trade.
Oh yeah.
But and I'm sorry to say it, but Matt Ryan might have been the worst trade this past year. From the outside looking in, kind of like the Allen Robinson thing. It was like, no brainer, or even the and I didn't name the one that everyone thought I would, because I think the media have beaten it to the dead horse. So I'm not even going to mention a certain quarterback that plays for a certain team in the AFC West. Outside of that trade, I would say that the Matt Ryan trade is the worst trade, mainly because Matt Ryan didn't look so washed up with the Falcons. He didn't. It just looked like, okay, the way this team is set up no longer fits his strong suits, no longer fits his style of play. Right. So it was a fit issue, it felt like. And it was like, all right, well, if you put him with the right type of team and he still has juice left in the tank. And then he went over to Indianapolis and was like, oh my God, this guy looks like a third string quarterback at this point.
Right.
And the more appalling part of it is he went to a team with an offensive minded coach, a former quarterback, and a former quarterback whisperer. At least that was the discussion on Frank Wright. They're like, look at what he did with Carson Wentz in Philly, and look at what he's done, you know, throughout his time in the league. And it was like, all right, well, this should be a good marriage. And they have one of the best running backs in the league. They at the time had one of the best offensive lines in the league, and they had a solid defense with, you know,
arguably one of the best tight linebackers in the league, and Darius Leonard.
Yep.
None of that happened. It was like a dumpster fire from the first game. And I hate to say it, but a large part of that was because of Matt Ryan's play.
Yep.
And it got harder and harder to make excuses or, shift the blame and things like that. And ultimately, what happened. So saying all that to say, for me, outside of a certain quarterback who will remain nameless, the worst trade so far has been Matt Ryan. I'm sorry, man. So it had to be said.
No. I'm happy
that you love that guy.
No, I'm happy that you said it because he was actually I had a tie as well, and he was a tie, and the tiebreaker was that guy who you not gonna name, but I'm gonna name Russell Wilson.
That's
was definitely the worst trade because they gave up so much. They gave up future and they gave up money, and they still owe this man. And you gonna lose out on these draft picks. Seattle is about to come up, and Seattle ended up making the playoffs without even using your trades, but they're gonna definitely capitalize with these draft picks. So yes, Russell Wilson was definitely the worst trade because he just didn't. We bought a lemon. That's what we bought. We paid all this money just to buy a lemon. But I do agree with Matt Ryan was my runner up because, and I guess I got to give props to it, the Atlanta Falcons organization, because that's three players who we have been able to get rid of on their year where they actually declined. We traded them at the right time, and that's Mohamed Sanu, who I loved Mohamed Sanu in Atlanta. We was able to trade him to New England, and from that point on, it was just like, what happened? Julio Jones was another one where we were able to get rid of him before he hit that decline button, and now he's pretty much what he is. He just a guy who just another guy. That's all he is. And then Matt Ryan, with us, like you said, we're going to this new style of offense. Matt Ryan no longer fit that scheme, and I think we couldn't protect him. We didn't have a run game. We didn't have receivers. It was just pretty much just over for Matt Ryan, and we got rid of him. We did pay this past year. But the Indianapolis Colts, y'all got to pay him the rest of that money. We done. Our hands is clean. We going into this offseason with some money that we ain't seen in a long time. Yeah. So definitely I would say Matt Ryan was definitely the runner up just because you thinking like you said, perfect fit, man. The best running back, the best offensive line. You got some solid receivers in Michael Pittman and Michael Pittman Jr. and Paris Campbell. You thinking like, okay, he loves his tight ends. They go draft a few tight ends. And you have, I think his name Doley or whatever like that. And then the defense is solid. Like you got the pieces. Everything comes together, and Matt Ryan's just the missing piece. And then you go out there, and it's like Matt Ryan never played a day of football in his life, man. Giving up leads, not being able to score touchdowns. I think what's his name? The running back, Jonathan Taylor had his worst season. Which I did predict, not with you, but I did predict it to some people who told me I was stupid for not drafting him in our fantasy draft, number 1 overall. I instead got Cooper Kupp. I got Cooper Kupp, and they kept saying, "Oh man, you ain't gonna say Jonathan Taylor." I said Jonathan Taylor is not gonna have the season that y'all think he is because when you add a Matt Ryan to that roster, they no longer are a running team. They're going to be a passing team. And Matt Ryan has never been known for throwing the ball to his running backs. That's just not something he does. He normally throws either his top receiver or his tight end. They are normally the ones that get a lot of the receptions. And so for me, I'm just on the right side of history again. Just on the right side. But yeah, so. I just felt like that was the perfect place. The Falcons did Matt Ryan right by allowing him to pick the team that he wanted to go to, and they didn't get a lot for him. They were just like, "Hey, we'll get rid of you for a 3rd round pick." That's all we got out of the deal. So at the end of the day, the Falcons. I think the Falcons. I love Matt Ryan. I still feel like he's a Hall of Famer. Not a first ballot, but definitely a Hall of Famer. However, last season he showed that he's pretty much done. He's a fried egg, man. He done, man.
Not a Friday.
Yeah, he's done. But
All
yes.
right. So going to the best trades. You want this one or
yeah? Let me go ahead and take this one first.
Go for it.
So one of my I got two of them. One of my favorite ones is the one that you actually said was a good trade, made the most impact, and that's Christian McCaffrey joining the San Francisco 49ers.
Never tired of being correct.
We saw how hard he ran against the Eagles, but it was just not enough. The Eagles was just too powerful for the San Francisco 49ers. But Christian McCaffrey, like, I'm just happy to see him in a place where he can succeed at. Carolina, he had some good times in Carolina, but it got to a point where you just start seeing he's just wasting away as the Carolina Panthers wasting his time. And I think joining the San Francisco 49ers, it like revitalized him. He's in a different place. He's somewhere where he gets to be the driving force of the success of that team. Plus, he has other playmakers to help him out. I'm anxious to see what they're going to do at the quarterback position, because we don't know if you're going to put all your eggs in Brock Purdy, or if you're going to let Trey Lance, have a chance at the starting quarterback position. We know you're getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not coming back. So we got to see what's going to happen. But Christian McCaffrey, I think, is in a better place. So it was definitely a good trade for the San Francisco 49ers. Christian McCaffrey ended the season playing 11 games with the San Francisco 49ers, 159 attempts, 746 yards, 6 touchdowns. So like at the end of the day, there was a pretty solid 11 games, and he didn't get injured. So that's pretty good as well. But my best trade, I would say, is AJ Brown. They traded him right before the draft. And it blew everybody's mind away, because everybody was like, "Dang, they got AJ Brown," and we didn't know what we was gonna get out of Jalen Hurts at that time. But we felt like, man, you get AJ Brown, that's plus Devontae Smith, they about to have a wide receiver talent going on. AJ Brown has been a driving force of this offense, ending the season so far with 17 games that he played, which including the playoffs, 88 receptions, 1,496 receiving yards with 11 touchdowns. So, and like I said, we got one more game to go. So can he put his stamp on it? We about to see. But AJ Brown to me was the best trade during this 2022 season.
It's funny because you mentioned two of the ones that I thought of. So I'm not going to rehash that, but I definitely agree. And I mean, AJ Brown coming to the Eagles, all he did was just set the all-time single season receiving yards record for the Eagles. And this is after they've had a guy like Sean Jackson in his prime, when they had T.O. still in his prime for a year and a half.
Alshon Jeffrey.
Right. Alshon Jeffrey was there, and they've had other guys throughout the years. But for him to come in year one, and basically shatter it. Yes, he had an extra game, but no, we knew coming into the season and for the first several games, all right, this is the clear number one that the Eagles desperately needed. That a guy like the Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith. All right, so I was right. So Devontae Smith clearly needed, because while he's great, he's not currently capable of being a number one yet.
Right.
So you got now swole Batman to skinny Batman, and then on top of it, Dallas Goedert. So Jalen Hurts picked your poison.
Right.
His preferred guy was AJ Brown. But all of that being said, my favorite and probably the best trade would be Tyreek Hill being traded over to the Dolphins, outside of the two trades that you've mentioned. And the reason I looked at this trade as the best is because typically when trades happen, they're one-sided. People will try to say, oh, well, before everything shakes out, if it's a good trade, they'll say, oh, well, it worked out for both parties. An example of that would be like the trade for Russell Wilson. A lot of people were like, oh, well, both teams won because, Seattle wasn't going to pay Russell what he wants, and he's kind of worn out his welcome, and they need to basically kind of,
not necessarily kind of rebuild, but retool. And they got that with the draft picks. And then, the Broncos one player away, quarterback away from being a playoff team.
Yeah.
And it ended up being one-sided.
Yeah.
However, with the trade for Tyreek Hill, it seemingly worked out for both teams. The Dolphins got a surefire number one who can stretch the field and maximize whatever talent Tua Tagovailoa has or had.
Right.
And then it also worked out for the Chiefs because they about to play for all the marbles. How often do you see a trade work out, especially in the first year, well for both sides? And at one point, Tyreek Hill was getting serious consideration as the best wideout in the league, and he was even getting consideration for some MVP votes before the Dolphins kind of slowed down and the offense kind of sputtered, and some of that unfortunately was due to injuries. But when Tyreek Hill and Tua were on the field, it was magical. So for me, that was the best trade because one, nobody really saw it coming. Two, I would argue that Tyreek Hill might have saved Tua's career if Tua comes back healthy.
Yes,
he might have single-handedly saved that man's career. So I'm hoping that Tua is able to make a full recovery, and I'm hoping that they can come back because I'm excited to see what will happen in year two if year one was so great.
Yeah, hopefully Tua is able to come back because suffering those 2 concussions and then I think he went out again. And it's like his career is pretty much on the line where it's like I don't think he should return back to the field, because of the effects that he may experience later on in life. And you have to kind of like think about your well-being later on in your life. Is it worth it? So I'm anxious to see what's going to happen. I'm pretty sure he's going to come back because he's so young and he's like, man, this is what I know. But at the same time, like if he's not 100%, how he was last year, how do they move on from him and try to get another quarterback that can help? Tyreek Hill, and he's a little older, so he's looking to like bring somebody in that's gonna be able to take him to the Super Bowl again and not have to rebuild. But definitely Tyreek Hill was probably one of the best trades as well.
So going back to a trade that you mentioned and the team that you mentioned, so Christian McCaffrey was an amazing trade. But the thing I'm thinking about, and you mentioned it, is it possible? You said that Jimmy G is out. It might be possible they might bring him back on a sweetheart deal. And the only reason I'm thinking that is because Brock Purdy had the diagnosis of some sort of, I think it was a UCL injury. Yeah. And they're giving him a 6-month timetable. Or something.
Well, the reason why I say Jimmy Garoppolo is probably out is because Kyle Shanahan did say that Jimmy Garoppolo is most likely out of here.
They said that last year. They said that last year.
And also, I don't think Kyle Shanahan is ready to take accountability for making that big move to get Trey Lance and then starting Trey Lance this year, and it just
too soon in my opinion.
He didn't show up. And then Brock Purdy comes in and just he just becomes the number one quarterback on that roster. So I think Kyle Shanahan is first going to have to admit that he was wrong and he made a big mistake. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo is tired of, I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo looking at himself as, bro, I'm a starter. Like, I'm not about to sit behind now the last pick in the draft. And you want me to sit behind this man that you thought was going to be your next franchise quarterback? So it's going to be hard to see, maybe because Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, he probably won't be able to get the market. He probably won't have the value in the market. However, there are a lot of teams that's probably looking for that veteran quarterback, like the Las Vegas Raiders, who needs a veteran quarterback to come in and be that missing piece. Or, maybe what's another team? The Jets. The Jets could be a team that, man, let's go get Jimmy Garoppolo. We just need a good game manager, somebody who can take this offense to another level and then let the defense be the driving force. So what's wrong? Go to mama. But yeah, so I think Jimmy Garoppolo, I think his time in San Francisco is up. So
I mean,
we'll
we'll see. Yeah, but just the fact that both of those guys are coming off of key injuries, and it's like, all right, well, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. And
Right.
I agree with you. I think the most likely destination for Jimmy G would be the Raiders, especially because Tom Brady retired. But I wouldn't rule it out entirely that he could come back on another 1-year deal, kind of like the bridge quarterback while those two get healthy, and then they let him walk, and he gets a better a better rehearsal or a better resume and has more tape going into this next season, and they can let him walk, and then those two guys compete out, or they trade one of them.
Right.
We'll see.
I mean, especially I trust Jimmy Garoppolo a little bit more than I trust Trey Lance anyway.
Agreed.
And you don't want to put all your eggs in that basket with Brock Purdy, even though yes, he had an unbelievable season. However, he was the last pick in the draft
for a reason.
Hold on.
Gotta love a family, man, y'all. But anybody in the chat, what do you guys think so far about our topics? Oh, wow, that was quick.
Yeah, sorry about that. Appreciate the content, Falcon family. Shout out to Palat Jones. I think he's new to the channel. I don't know if he follow us already, but shout out to you, man. Appreciate your support. Appreciate you for tuning in. So what I was saying, I just feel like I would just trust Jimmy Garoppolo a little bit more. But like I said, Kyle Shanahan has to be willing to just go ahead and take accountability and say, you know what, I was wrong. Now, who's to say Trey Lance may be good? We don't know. Right. But at the same time, for you to go and get him like you did, you traded up, you lost capital for that. I just feel like you can't really come back from that one unless Trey Lance just make a tremendous improvement like a Jalen Hurts over the offseason and come back and win that position. I just feel like now you got to be stuck with that one. Right. But I don't really see a case where Jimmy Garoppolo can return. I think Jimmy Garoppolo will take his services either to Las Vegas. He could take his services to Tampa Bay. Because they still an old team that needs that veteran leadership instead of having to start all the way over, because they pretty much just gonna have to wait it out right now because they brought back so many of these old guys that they're gonna have to try to go for it right now. And who's to say Tom Brady may come back? We don't know.
Another team that, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts, but another team that could potentially fit with a Jimmy G. Close. You're in the right division.
The Saints.
Yeah. I mean, think about it this way. So at the skill positions, they're like, at least offensively, they're kind of like a poor man's 49ers in this sense. They have a dual threat running back.
Yeah.
In Alvin Kamara. They have Olave. And
you may lose Michael Thomas.
Right. They have Michael Thomas,
but you may lose him. You may
lose him, or he may say, "Hey, if you bring in a competent quarterback who's a vet, who's won before, who's played in big games, who has taken a team to a Super Bowl, and their defense, although they underperform significantly, that could be a 1-year blip. Let's say they play like the Saints defenses over the past several years outside of this year.
Yeah,
that's a playoff minimum. That their floor is a playoff, caliber, possibly deep run caliber defense,
especially in this division right now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers looking like, okay, if Tom Brady, even though Tom Brady do come back, we know we getting out of Tom Brady most likely. Carolina, they need a quarterback. They need a lot of things, even though they were in contention to win the division as well. The Atlanta Falcons, I mean, we know, we feel like we there, but we don't know. We don't know if we're going to get out of the Atlanta Falcons. And then, with the Saints, we were all contending. We were all competing this year. And only one team could win. So, that would be a good destination. I would probably see Carolina before I see the Saints, because they do have Jameson Winston, and they do have Andy Dalton. I don't know how many years they have left. And
I think Dalton was a year signing, and I'm not sure about
Jameis Winston. I want to say it was either a year or two.
Yeah,
but
I'm not sure either, but I feel like Carolina would probably be a better spot for him. Getting out there with Frank Wright, and they already have DJ Moore on the outside. You gotta it seemed like you got a little running back with Chuba Hubbard and Dante Foreman, and the defense is pretty good. So I think that'll be a better place for him. However, I'm anxious to see what's gonna happen with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right.
So.
Even though I think he's overrated and has been for a long time, but that's a
conversation. Definitely. Yeah. And going back to that free agency signing, you spoke about Patrick Peterson, which is a guy that the Atlanta Falcons could be targeting in this offseason. He already said he kind of want to, he see himself in Atlanta. I think that'll be a great place for him with teaming up with AJ Terrell. The only thing that scared me is just like you don't want to take that risk. And then they end up being the worst season of his career. I thought when he went to Minnesota, I thought like, man, I like Patrick Peterson, but maybe he washed up. But then he ended up proving me wrong. So it's kind of a risk that I'm willing to take just because the Atlanta Falcons do have money, and I think he's gonna bring that dog mentality to our team that we kind of need, especially on that defensive side of the ball.
Leadership,
and then even if worse come to worse, he may not be your cornerback. He could play a little free safety for us because that's what they did with Richard Sherman, kind of put him at the free safety position.
Right.
So I'm anxious to see what happens with Patrick Peterson this offseason.
Me too. Yeah, and again, you guys have so much cap space that it wouldn't take a whole lot. I mean, you could probably get him a 1 year. I mean, look at again. The Vikings signed him for 1 year. It was like $3 million plus like a $1 million signing bonus and then incentives, and he probably hit all his incentives. So let's say you round it up. At most, they gave him $5, maybe $6 million for 1 year, and they got 5 picks off of him with 56 tackles. You guys could take that.
Yeah, we can definitely take that chance.
So
see what we can get out of him, and then probably go get a cornerback in the draft,
right?
To team up with AJ Terrell. So, yep. All right, so we're gonna get to the next topic. As we all know, that our guy has been reunited with his team that he actually played for, one of the greatest Houston Texans in their history, DeMeco Ryan. So did the Houston Texans right the wrong to Lovie Smith by hiring DeMeco Ryan as their new head coach?
Based on the way the question is asked, I'm going to say no, because I think they righted a wrong for the Houston Texans. Yeah. And the reason I say this is, I mean, they didn't do Lovie Smith any favors, right? But the way they set and Lovie Smith, I believe, was like a defensive coordinator under them, and then they promoted him. So they kind of kept it in house, but they didn't set him up technically to succeed.
Correct.
Because the quarterback room that they gave him, I mean, David Mills had some nice moments, but come on. On half of the league, half of the teams in the league, he wouldn't even be a number 3 starter, right? And then, they had some decent skill position players on offense, but like, let's be honest, we knew they were going to be among the worst teams in the league, right? Yeah. So they set Lovie up to fail, and it felt like they kind of treated him like a bridge, head coach until they got the guy they wanted. Typically, when they do that, they will then go for a white head coach that might have been under another franchise. Yeah. But I will say this. I do like the move, and I think that it's a great move for DeMeco Ryans because, one, they gave him 6 years off the bat. Yes. Typically, when a team gives like another example of a 6-year deal that was given, Kyle Shanahan, as well as their GM, John Lynch, both got 6 years. Right. When they signed them. That shows the ownership group is saying, we believe that you are the guy and we are going to give you the opportunity and the time to build this team in your image. Right. So they gave him 6 years, right?
And then on top of it, they have the number 2 overall pick in this upcoming draft.
Right.
It's important for a multitude of reasons.
Thanks to Lovie.
Right. Thanks to Lovie. However, it wasn't thanks to Lovie. I mean, because the crazy thing is, this team, Lovie Smith is a competent coach.
Yes.
He's been able to do more with less, like a lot of coaches from his track record, right? So it wasn't outside of the realm of possibility that they could have won more games. But the team is just not constructed to win as many games, right? They were in a lot of the games, and that's because of the coaching of Lovie Smith. But they ultimately picked number 2 because of how bad they are constructed. I'm saying all this to say it's a very rare situation where a black first-time head coach gets 6 years, gets a team that has cap space. Like this year, they have $37 million in cap space. That's enough to go out and get some guys, right? And then on top of that, to give him basically a clean slate at quarterback, because they got the number 2 pick. That's either going to be CJ Stroud or Bryce Young.
Yep.
How many black head coaches first year are getting the investment in terms of years in their contract, in terms of having a cap, a good cap situation?
Yep.
I believe they're number 5 in cap space in the NFL. And then they get to pick their quarterback.
Yep.
And this is all happening, I would argue, because they know that they messed up as an organization for years, and they know that they messed up with their hires and the positions they put their most recent hires in. So it's like, okay, we got to get this right. We're going to get a guy that's homegrown, because DeMeco Ryan's, like you said, was one of the greatest Texans, you know, to ever come out of that franchise. He was a 2-time Pro Bowler. I believe one year he might have made an All-Pro team. He was a defensive rookie of the year. And, you know, he was a key piece of their defenses back when he played. And all he's done is been a rock star. So I'm saying all this to say, I think, to answer the question, they didn't do right by Lovie Smith. They did right by the Houston Texans because they noticed, okay, we kind of failed at this the last couple of years, and we've kind of failed at this with black head coaches. So we got to get it right from a head coaching standpoint. Oh, one of our own guys is one of the top guys. So let's get him, bring him back home for marketing purposes, but also because we believe that he could do it.
Right.
And let's give him actually the tools he needs to be successful. Wow, that's amazing. That's what you're supposed to do for head coaches.
Right.
But they don't do it for black head coaches. So again, they didn't right or wrong for Lovie Smith. To me, they righted a wrong of how inept they've ran this franchise. And I'm rooting for DeMeco Ryans. I think it's a great marriage, and it's a marriage of convenience. And we'll see.
Yep. Loved everything you said. And I'm gonna pretty much, you know, piggyback off what you said. They didn't do it. They didn't do right by Lovie Smith, because Lovie Smith is still not a head coach. And he's pretty much having to settle with being a coordinator. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. This man really like took the Houston Texans and won more games than anybody even thought they would win. We thought they was gonna have no one pick. And Lovie Smith, I felt like he probably had to talk. He probably had to throw some of the games just because they was tanking for Bryce Young. In my opinion, and I feel like he kind of had to do that, and I think that they wasted his time and David Culley time because you give them a year to turn this team around after losing Deshaun Watson, losing DeAndre Hopkins, losing JJ Watt. Like, come on, what are they supposed to do with that? But what they did do is they did, like you said, they brought in DeMeco Ryan and gave him a 6-year deal that allows him time, realistic time, to turn this thing around. So we no longer have black coaches going into these teams and that we already know that they suck, and then they give him 1 year to turn it around, to make water into wine. So now DeMeco Ryan gets a realistic chance to turn this Houston Texans team around. I also feel like Houston brought him in because, hey man, he was one of our best players in the league in our franchise. It's gonna help the Houston Texans get that fan base up, because now we get to watch one of the guys that we grew up watching play football for this Houston Texans team and have some good years. Now we get to see him coach our team, and to see the type of defense that they had in San Francisco, almost making it to the Super Bowl. He's going to bring that same mentality to the Houston Texans organization and help us bring in the right players. And you also alluded to the draft picks. He gets to come in, he gets to pick the quarterback that he wants, and who knows? Yes, I do see them going C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. Whoever doesn't go first, they going second. Right. However, he could, if he wanted to go on the defensive side of the ball and get a Jalen Carter or a Will Anderson, he can do that as well and kind of pass on the quarterback and maybe bring in a veteran quarterback like a Jimmy Garoppolo, who we just talked about. That could be something as well that he could do. But I do see him going C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young, whichever one doesn't go first. Like I said, they go second to the Houston Texans. So like you said it best. They did what was best for the Houston Texans. They didn't right the wrong for Lovie Smith, because Lovie Smith still got done wrong, and he's still without a head coaching position, all because he won too many games, and it led to him being fired. So I do agree with you wholeheartedly. The Houston Texans, they needed to right this wrong by the team's point of view, and I think that they did hire the right guy, DeMeco Ryan, to lead this Houston Texans team to the success that they did used to see. And we also know that the Houston Texans, when you look at the Houston Texans history, although short, it's always been built on mainly defense. Right. So DeMeco Ryans, who led that defense when they were actually one of the best defense in the league, it was him and J.J. Watt that was the driving force, and Jonathan Joseph. Right. So now you're gonna rebuild that defense, which is not really that bad based on bringing in DJ Stingley Jr. Now you can probably bring in another guy. They have some pieces, but DeMeco Ryan is going to get this team to rally around him, and they're going to be a different team, man. They're going to definitely come out with a little swagger next year. And they depending on what they do in this offseason, hey, we may be saying that the Houston Texans could be winning that division, because we already know that division is kind of wide open. The Indianapolis Colts, they probably going to be trying to get a quarterback. Maybe they're gonna trade up to get that number 1 pick in the Bryce Young with the Chicago Bears, right? Or C.J. Stroud, whichever one they see. They do have some pieces. However, we don't know what they're gonna be next year. They still questionable. The Tennessee Titans, we saw that Derrick Henry can't be your driving force. He started. He only option. Yeah, he can't be your only option. So we anxious to see what the Tennessee Titans do. And then you have Jacksonville, who did win this division this year, but and I think Jacksonville is legit. I think next year they're gonna just keep getting better, so who knows? They could be competing with the Houston Texans in the years to come as the team in the AFC South. So I definitely love this. I love this pickup. I love that they gave him a 6-year contract to allow him some realistic time to turn things around. So it was a good pick for the Houston Texans. It just wasn't good. It didn't right the wrong for Lovie Smith.
Now, the other thing that I just noticed, I was just looking at this. I'm like, how many draft picks do the Texans have this year? They have 11 draft picks. They have including the number 2 overall and the number 12 overall. Yep. So, it's very rare. Again, I keep emphasizing it, but it's very rare for a black head coach, a first-time black head coach, to get all of this support and all of these resources. And it makes me wonder if this was Eric Bieniemy, for example, or if this was Byron Leftwich, if those were the guys that were available in terms of black head coaching candidates, would the Texans have given them the same? Would they have even hired them? Right.
that's the question I have. And I know now that's a rhetorical question, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder, like, if it wasn't because DeMeco Ryans is considered one of the hotshot young, coaching candidates, and if he wasn't a homegrown star of that franchise, would they have, one, brought him in, and two, would they have been comfortable giving him all of these different resources? This typically goes to a coach like a Zach Taylor, or like Sean McVay. And no disrespect to those two coaches, but I'm just saying, if you see that, or it'll go to a guy like a Sean Payton. Very rarely does it go to a guy who's a first-year head coach and then a defensive head coach at that. So kudos to them more so for giving him this opportunity, and kudos for DeMeco Ryans really going up the ranks so quickly. I mean, the guy started, I think, coaching at position coaching in 2018, and now he's the head coach of his hometown, his former franchise, and he has all of this support and all of this time to build this franchise.
Right.
And it doesn't seem to be a power struggle like it has been with the Texans in previous years.
Right. I'll answer your question. You said if DeMeco Ryan wasn't in their history as one of the greatest Texans of all time, would he have gotten this position? I'm gonna say no, he would never got this position. And if he did get this position, it would have just been another bridge. But I don't think they would have gave him this opportunity because he has too much capital and draft picks and money to put a black coach in that. Let me tell you who would have probably had this position. Kellen Moore would have probably had this position. The offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, who now is with the Chargers.
Yeah, Chargers.
Dan Quinn would have probably had this position. The defensive coordinator who with the Cowboys, who turned down another head coaching position, supposedly to finish what he started. But we all know what that is. If Mike McCarthy don't have a good season, he'll be out the door. This also would have been a Cliff Kingsbury, another team that Cliff Kingsbury would have came and messed up. So we do know who would have been. We know who would have had those positions. It's just that DeMeco Ryan had already put his foot down. He already had some history with this team, and it was some great history. So of course it was a no-brainer for them to bring him in.
Right. And it's funny because I believe DeMeco Ryans was also one of the front runners for the Broncos. I believe he interviewed with them and with another team. I want to say it was the Colts.
Yeah, I'm happy he took this one because you have a better chance to succeed in this position and rally some young guys around DeMeco Ryan. He has a different presence about him. He knows how he as a coordinator, he was the one that was they huddle up around him and he's motivating them. So I think you get to go and set this new tone for the Houston Texans, who have never won a Super Bowl. I don't think they ever even been to a Super Bowl.
No.
So like you and for the past few years they haven't really had much success. So now you get to bring on a new culture that they probably never seen before, and you get to do it for the team that you actually played for. So I think this was a better decision for him to make as a black coach going into a situation. Yes, it hasn't been good for the black coaches. However, you get a 6-year deal. You actually get a chance to turn things around. Whereas if you would have went to Indianapolis, they got an expectation there, and especially with this team already established, and you don't really have a top draft pick where you can get the top quarterback. You can't trade up for him, but you ain't really got much time to succeed there. And then Denver, there's no draft picks. You're stuck with Russell Wilson, and you just got to figure it out. So I think the Houston Texans is the best place for him.
I agree.
Yep. All right, so we getting down to the last one, the one that everybody came to watch. You tuned in just to see this one. But before we get to this last topic, man, like I said, this is a finale for this first season, the last episode for this first season. So we definitely want to thank everybody who has supported the channel and continuously support the channel. Shout out to Yasuka Knight. Shout out to what's his name? Pilot Jones, who joined us in the chat. Shout out to y'all too. Shout out to Merrick Galar, who's always been in the chat for us as well. Thank you for all the subscriptions this year. Thank you for all the likes, the comments, everything, man. We appreciate it. We appreciate the comments while we're doing the video. We love the interaction. So shout out to everybody. But yeah, so we're gonna, I just wanted to get that out there. Don't forget, man, go to YouTube right now. If you hear me right now, go to YouTube. If you haven't already, subscribe to Fan of Atlanta 365, the network where you can catch No Huddle. Hopefully next season we can get J&B to talk of the Dirty South show back. We can get Uncle Nephew back, and we can also get some more Fan of Atlanta 365, which y'all will be seeing me in the off season doing some draft talk and doing some off season talk for the Atlanta Falcons. But definitely subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can get the notifications to your phone whenever we go live or whenever we post some content. Definitely look forward to next season, man. I feel like this season was just we were just laying down the foundation. But we're gonna build this house, man, layer by layer, and we hope that y'all hear the, as we grow, we hope that y'all grow with us. You got anything before we get to this last one?
Hey man, I just want to shout you out real quick because for those of you who don't know, we have a bond. I mean, this is my cousin, and he's a good dude, but he was already building something, and he came to me and approached me with the idea of us doing this, and I trust him, trust his vision, and I'm proud of what we've done so far. But again, like he said, this is just the beginning. This is the foundation. And I'm excited to see where we will take this like 5 years from now, for example. So again, I appreciate you for bringing me along and, trusting me with your vision. And I'm excited for us to continue to build No Huddle, man.
Oh yeah, man. Well, we talk offline all the time. So he understands. I thank him every time we get off a stream. We always thank each other, and I always say, "Hey man, thank you for answering the call." Because you didn't have to answer that call. And this vision wouldn't be what it is without you. So definitely thank you for that. And I've been trying to get him on the show for a long time. And y'all don't know the recruiting efforts that I have done to get my boy on the show. And he did answer the call, and we started this No Huddle thing. And so far, man, I'm enjoying it. I can't wait for the next season, man. I know we're gonna go up from here. So I hope y'all go up with us, man. So appreciate y'all. And if anybody, if you have a show in mind that you want to do, that you want to bring to the Fan of Atlanta 365 umbrella, I'm open to to allow some other people to start their own show under the umbrella. If you like I said, Mary Galar, I know he loves soccer. I don't know anything about soccer, but if he wants to come on and do his own show talking about soccer, hey, I would definitely appreciate that, because this show is this network is Fan of Atlanta 365. The network, it's a network, so we want different shows on that thing, So yeah, definitely, if you want to join the show, sometimes you want to come and debate us, hey, you're welcome to join us live. If you know your sports, man, come on the show, man. We love interaction, and we would definitely embrace you and allow you to to speak your mind on the show. But yeah, so just wanted to kind of get that out there. Like I said, this is the last one. It's been a great ride. It's sad, but at the same time, it's like, hey, we did a good job, man. I came, you know what I'm saying? So, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and get to this last topic, the topic that everybody came to see. As we all know, the Super Bowl 57 is set for next weekend. The showdown between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. It's time to make them picks, man. It's time to make them picks. So, hey, bro, I'm gonna let you go ahead and start it off.
Hey, man. So normally this would be hard, but honestly, it's not. I think it's going to be a very competitive game. I expect both teams to play at their peak, but ultimately, man, I'm rooting for the home team, man. Give me them Eagles, man. So again, it's a beautiful thing when you get the best team in both conferences, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know there was some discussion about, the Bengals, have they, leapfrogged and become the team to beat in the AFC because they were in the Super Bowl last year. But we quickly have seen not quite. The AFC still runs through the Chiefs and through Kansas City. And as of right now, the best quarterback is still Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. But I love the fact that during Black History Month, we're going to have the first time
2 starting black quarterbacks will go head to head in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And for those of you who don't really follow football or don't follow the history, it's important for a multitude of reasons. The first of which, the quarterback position is arguably the most important and most prestigious position in football, period.
It's the point guard for basketball. It's the pitcher for baseball.
Baseball, exactly. And the thing is, even as far back as or as recently as the 80s, there was a huge notion that black men were not smart enough, were not disciplined enough, and were ultimately not capable enough to understand the complexities and the nuances of plays, of running plays, of defenses in terms of making adjustments as a quarterback,
right,
and to handle the rigors of being an NFL starting quarterback. That, so considering the fact that Doug Williams was the first black quarterback to win the Super Bowl, and that was in 88. I'm an 88 baby. So within my lifetime, there was still some sort of notion that black men were not mentally capable and physically capable of doing what these 2 young men are doing and have done.
Right.
And the thing that I love about it is both of these men, normally with black quarterbacks, there's this kind of qualifier. Oh, well, they're an athletic quarterback, or they're a run first quarterback, or they're a rushing quarterback.
Right.
Both of these quarterbacks have shown, especially over the past year, that they are more than capable of being a pocket passing quarterback and doing it at an efficient and high level. So you have those historical contexts, right? Then for me as a Philadelphian, like Philly, born and raised, I've watched the Eagles over the years. I won't say that I've always rooted for the Eagles exclusively. I am a Rams fan. I'll admit that. But I will say I know enough about the history of the Eagles to say Andy Reid coming back now face the team that he pretty much built his head coaching career on with the Eagles. I mean, prior to that, he was a guy that was Brett Favre's offensive coordinator and, quarterbacks coach in Green Bay. That was what he was known as.
Can I throw a fact in there?
Go for it.
Andy Reid is the winningest coach in Philadelphia Eagles history as a head coach. And if he wins the Super Bowl, he becomes the winningest head coach in Kansas City Chiefs or franchise as well.
Didn't know that second part, but definitely knew the first part. And that lends him the point. So Andy Reid, it seemed like he kind of worn out his welcome in Philly, and he was pretty much forced out. And then he went over to the Chiefs, which, I mean, the Chiefs had some success here and there during, the Dick Vermeil days and things like that. But they were never known as this juggernaut in the AFC and definitely not in the AFC West. Right. For all intents and purposes, it was the Broncos and pretty much everybody else.
New England.
The Raiders might get a time here and there. The Chargers would
the Patriots.
Well, but I'm saying specifically for the AFC West.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, you're not wrong. And the Patriots were considered the class of the AFC.
Yeah.
In like 5 or 6 years or more than that, because they became competitive even when they had another quarterback. So Andy Reid has built a strong foundation over there. When he was an afterthought once he got fired from the Eagles. So to see him now potentially get his get back with the team that he's the all-time winningest head coach, he's led them to a Super Bowl. He's led them to NFC championship games 4 in a row, by the way. It would be cool to see him win, but I don't think he's going to win. And the main reason is because of how the Eagles are constructed, because they've been like this ever since I've known them. They build in the trenches and then build outside of the trenches. But offensive line, they're one of the best in the league. Defensive line, I would say the best defensive line in the league. They have 70 sacks on the season. as a collective group, which is absurd.
Mm-hmm.
You're the first defense in NFL history to have 4 guys in double-digit sacks for the year. Like, and that's just on the defensive line. We didn't even go to the secondary, where they have 2 guys who are arguably Pro Bowlers and could be all pros. You know what I mean? And then if you look on the offensive side, you know, Jalen Hurts is probably going to be the runner-up for MVP this year to Patrick Mahomes. Unfortunately, he got injured. So saying all of that to say, they have that, and then they have A.J. Brown, who is an all-pro. They have Devontae Adams. This is the first time, I believe, in the Eagles' history where they've had 2 receivers have 1,100-yard seasons. And again, this is with guys like Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson and T.O. This is probably their best offensive season. So you add a top-flight defense with a top-flight offense and a MVP caliber candidate as a quarterback, and you have a strong running game with a running back that had 11, I think close to 1,200 rushing yards. It's a recipe for success. Saying all that, my soliloquy will end with this. I think it'll be a close matchup, but I expect the Eagles to win 27-24. That's my prediction. What say you, sir?
I must say, you definitely had a whole little thing. You laid it out.
Of course I did.
I love everything you said. Everything you said is true. You know, one thing that you didn't add was this is also the Kelce Bowl. We got
we
got Travis Kelce and his brother Jason Kelce, one of the best centers in the league versus the best tight end in the league. Brothers going at it. You know, on that Sunday.
That's true.
So I start by saying, you know, this is going to be a great game. Both are juggernauts in their respective conferences. Also, you did predict the number 1 seeds will be matching, going head to head in the Super Bowl. Definitely was right about that. But where you're wrong at, my good sir, where you're wrong at.
Oh boy.
First, let's look at the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Philadelphia Eagles. Now,
I apologize in advance to my Philadelphia folk because we about to get some slander. I'm sorry. I had to do a disclaimer. I'm sorry.
The Philadelphia Eagles, and look who's in the background.
Okay.
We this is my show.
Oh, guys, run away. He about to cut up.
Oh yeah, I'm about to go in on these.
He about to cut up.
Matter of fact, if you want to stay right there and listen, you're welcome to do that. So we do agree that you can only play who's on your schedule, right? We do agree with that. But let's just look at this schedule because
thank you.
Nothing really piques my interest to be like, okay, you know, the Eagles definitely did something.
You put a lot of bass in your voice right now, and I don't like it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I need you to
get him together, please.
Lower your tone and the bass.
There you go. Right. Use your quiet voice when you talk.
When you guys started today, y'all talked about how this is the same date that the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Look at Miss
Man.
You know what?
Today.
The Super Bowl is being played next Sunday.
Nah,
today may be the day.
All right.
But next Sunday is.
She talking about 2017. Let's fact check that.
Because my Facebook reminded me of when I posted about it. So just letting you know.
Excuse me, man. This is my show. Can I have my show back?
Hey man, she's just trying to get you on the right track, Chief.
I'm reclaiming my time.
February 4th, 2018.
Okay.
So before you talk
when the Super Bowl being played on the 12th?
February 12th.
Okay.
But guess what? February 4th, right? 4.
Okay.
So February. Yeah. It's just ironic that your last episode is ending on the anniversary of the day that we won the Super Bowl.
Get them two together, because
one for me.
Take that for that.
So here we go. Philadelphia Eagles schedule this year. We got to go through these quarterbacks that they have seen because they about to see the best quarterback.
Lord,
Detroit Lions. Yes, Jared Goff. He had a pretty good season. But we know Jared Goff in the beginning wasn't the Jared Goff that he ended up ending the season with. And even still, he's not nothing compared. He's not in the top tier. He's not even in the middle tier. He's below. He's above average now. He's above average.
Yeah, fair.
Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins. You believe in him?
You know, you already know what that is, man.
Okay. Washington football team. The Washington Commanders. You did say Carson Wentz ended up being a bust. They did bring in Taylor Heineke towards the middle of the season. But is any one of them Patrick Mahomes?
Of course not. Nobody.
Okay. Jacksonville Jaguars. Yes, Trevor Lawrence did end the season well. First part of the season didn't really start off as good as it ended. But it's Trevor Lawrence. You know, what would you rank him? Above average?
Slightly, yeah.
Okay.
This year, yeah, slightly above average.
Okay. Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray. What we rank him at? Bus. Okay. Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott. Okay.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh Steelers with Kenny Pickett.
Come on, man. All right.
Houston Texans, David Mills.
Come on, man.
Okay. Washington Commanders again. I'm pretty sure at this time Taylor Heineke is starting. The Indianapolis Colts, Matt Ryan, I think he's pushed out the door at this time. I think they started Sam Ellinger.
Right.
But Matt Ryan, we just talked about him. He was a bust this season. Green Bay Packers, yes, they did have Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Maybe the best quarterback that they probably got to see. However, they don't have the weapons that this team you about to face got, right?
Okay.
The Tennessee Titans, you believe in Ryan Tannehill? Okay.
I believe that he's a quarterback.
Yeah, he is a quarterback. I believe that too. I definitely believe that too. But we know he's not. He ain't nothing close to the man you about to see next week. The New York Giants with Daniel Jones. Yes, I do think that Daniel Jones in the future will be the next franchise quarterback. Another Eli Manning.
By default.
However, is Daniel Jones that guy?
He's a guy.
He's a guy, just another guy, right? In the words of Shannon Sharp, he's a Jag.
Just
a Jag. Chicago Bears with Justin Fields. Like Justin Fields, I see him having a high ceiling, but is he that guy?
He that guy in Chicago.
Okay. The Dallas Cowboys again with Dak Prescott. I think the first time they played
Cooper Rush.
Rush was the first one. So the second time, Dallas Cowboys, they did take an L that day too with Dak Prescott. But it's a division game. I think Jalen Hurts was hurt.
We had Top Gun as our starting quarterback.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts was hurt, and the guy who you say you believe in the Gardner Minshew, mustache guy. And then we got the New Orleans Saints. Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last game you end with the New York Giants again with Daniel Jones. Then you go into the playoffs. You get to play the New York Giants 2 times in the last 6 games. The last 6 games, and then you blow them out in the playoffs.
Of course.
A familiar divisional team. You know, we know you was going to beat the Giants. Then you come against the San Francisco 49ers next week. Yes, we all had high expectations for Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy got hurt. And then it wasn't a Purdy day for the San Francisco 49ers.
We knocked him out the game. You mean we knocked
him out the game? You hit his arm.
You knocked him out the game.
You hit his arm.
One of the best off-season signings, knocked him out the game.
Hassan Riddick.
Yes,
Hassan, my guy. Hassan Riddick. You just not Hassan Riddick, but he did show up that game. The defense was on point.
Yeah, the
defense was on point. They shut down Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey had a decent game. But at the end of the day, you can't do it by yourself. You did do a great job against San Francisco defense, even though I felt like San Francisco defense kept giving the offense chances. But then when you got the 4th string quarterback coming out there having to play, and then he get hurt, and then they keep panning over to Trey Lance like he can do anything. He hurt. He can't do nothing. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is the Philadelphia Eagles haven't seen a team like they're about to see next week. The Kansas City Chiefs has the best quarterback right now in the NFL. And I'm talking about heads and shoulders better than everybody else. The only person that may be a little bit closer to him is, I would say, Jalen Hurts has taken that step. But we know Joe Burrow is probably the closest thing. You're probably gonna get that Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, 1A, 1B. Which one is your better option for you? Right. Which one tastes better for you? But I would say Jalen Hurts has definitely added himself to that third best quarterback in the league right now, even surpassing Josh Allen, because Josh Allen is a regular season champ, along with Lamar Jackson, regular season champ. And but I like I said, Lamar Jackson, he did prove to me he could be a future Atlanta Falcon. So I gotta like him right now. I have to like him right now. But the Philadelphia Eagles haven't played what they're about to play next Sunday. You're going into a Super Bowl where this team has experience, recent experience. Yes, the Eagles did win a Super Bowl. Fletcher Cox is on that team. Brandon Graham was on that team. You know, Ndamukong Suh has won the Super Bowl before the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Right. So and you do have some veterans. You do have some veterans on that defensive line. They got the best defensive line in the league. However, you're going against the best pass blocking team in the league as well, with not only one of the best pass blocking team, you got the best quarterback in the league, and you got the best tight end in the league. Right. So with all that being said, the Eagles in trouble, because they never seen a team like this all season. I'm not saying that the Eagles aren't good; they are great. However, Andy Reid coming back, we know what Andy Reid can do. The Kelsey brothers, yes, it's all about the Kelsey brothers, and we do know it's Black History Month, and you get to see two black quarterbacks, top of the line quarterbacks, going head to head against each other. However, the last time we got to see two black coaches in the NFL go head to head together, the AFC won. This will be another time where you get the two quarterbacks in the first time in history going together, going at it head to head, and the best quarterback will win, which results in two. DJ, can I get the picture up? Oh, fried Eagles fry. Fried Eagles fry stew. I'm eating Eagles stew all night. I'm telling you, if you're an Eagles fan, and I know you will be getting a call from me, from your boy. Eagles stew all night. It's going. And if I had to give you a score, I'd give you a little score. You know, I ain't write down no score, but if I had to say a score,
watch it. Watch yourself. You already got too much dip on your chip.
Oh, I forgot another point. In those last two games, Jalen Hurts really didn't really have to do nothing. What do you do when you playing another team that could put up points? Can Jalen Hurts show up on the biggest stage with the lights as bright as they could be? Can he show up? Can AJ Brown show up as well? Because AJ Brown ain't never played on this level now. He done had some great years, but he ain't never played on this level.
Okay.
And so far in the playoffs, he haven't had to do much because, fortunately for the Eagles, they played the Giants and they played the hurt San Francisco. So Jalen Hurts didn't really have to do nothing in the air. Miles Sanders was able to run free, and Kenny Gainwell, I think that's his name, Kenneth Gainwell. Yeah, Kenneth Gainwell. But what happens when Patrick Mahomes is putting up them touchdowns and every time they going down the field, they getting points? Can you keep up? I say no. So I got the score as 28-14. Chiefs win. Eagles in the frying pan.
Okay, all right. So since you went all around the world to be wrong, I'm gonna make it quick. So I'm looking up the Chiefs schedule since we're going there. Okay, first game of the season, Cardinals. Kyler Murray, we already know what that is.
Right.
All right, Chargers and Chiefs. Okay, you're playing Justin Herbert, who is the AFC regular season champ, in my opinion. All right, you're playing the Colts. We know what the Colts were.
Right.
Bucks, the Raiders, the Bills.
See, you trying to root them. You trying to make it seem like, oh, they ain't playing nobody.
It's not that. It's not that. I'm not saying that they didn't play anybody because it's not the Eagles' fault that they're in the weaker conference, which I'll give you credit. You did call it that the AFC was going to be the stronger or the better of the two conferences. You did call it earlier in our season.
But you know what else I did call? I said the Super Bowl would be won on the NFC. So now I'm switching to the AFC.
Yeah, and the sad part is you're going to be right this Super Bowl because the Eagles are the better team, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that your point is invalid. The quarterbacks that he's faced they're not even in the ballpark of Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. But that's like the majority of the teams in the league. The Eagles can't help the fact that Patrick Mahomes is literally a one of one. There's nobody like him, right? Mm-hmm. That's not their fault. And you're right. They have to play who they have to play. But even with the 49ers, I don't think Brock Purdy playing the full game healthy would have changed the outcome much. Mm-mm. They were still better than that team. And that team was considered a juggernaut. And people were afraid of them. And, oh, my God, they might run the table. And then
I think people are afraid of their defense more than their offense. So.
Right. But also, Deebo Samuel is no slouch.
Yeah.
They have a strong running game. Jeff Wilson was a solid guy. Mm-hmm. And, they have pieces there. Brandon Ayuk is strong. Kittle started to pick up right where he left off last year and the previous years. Mm-hmm. Although he's no Travis Kelce either. Another one of one. It could be argued that Travis Kelce currently might be the greatest pass catching tight end in the history of the NFL. Yes. And that's including guys like Gronk, like Tony Gonzalez, Kellen Winslow the first,
Antonio Gates.
Doesn't matter. Kelce might be the guy. Mm-hmm. And he still looks like he's in his prime. He probably is going to play another, 3 to 5
seasons. One more thing. What did I say? Kyle Shanahan always find a way to get in his own way.
But I don't think he got in his own way.
He didn't get in his own way this time. I can't say he got in his own way. What he did get in his own way is trading up to get Trey Lance and thinking that he was going to be your starting quarterback. That wasn't going to happen anyway. But he did kind of get in his own way. But he didn't. He wasn't the reason why they lost.
The reason he did that is because he wanted to get the next Mahomes before anyone else. Because a lot of people during that draft were comparing Trey Lance to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
But it's obvious. There's only one. It's like Highlander. There can only be one. There's only one Patrick Mahomes. So saying all that to say, yes, you're not wrong. The Eagles have not played any quarterbacks that will look anything remotely like him. But at the same time, too, Patrick Mahomes has not faced a defense like this. Yes, he's faced the Bills, maybe more at full strength. Yes, he's faced the Bengals multiple times, but they are not this Eagles defense, okay? They are not. Hassan Reddick, the fact that he didn't get any consideration for Defensive Player of the Year, preposterous, absurd. I mean, up and down the field, they got all pros on multiple different parts of that defense. Got guys who are former All-Pros who have won in this league. And they're your role players, and they're still performing at a good level. And not to mention, no one's talked about whether Jordan Davis is going to come out. Are they going to unleash him from out the doghouse?
That's another point. That's another fact I need to bring up. Since 2001. Since 2001 all the way up into this Super Bowl, there has been a Georgia product on the field. Ain't nobody ever can nobody say that. Only UGA can say that. Since 2001 all the way to 2023, there has been a Georgia product on the Super Bowl teams that's competing.
Yeah. Shout out to the Bulldogs. But yeah, so again, nobody's even talking about Jordan Davis. On top of all of those guys. So I'm saying all this to say, yes, the Chiefs, they protect Patrick Mahomes better than anybody, but he still got in that game, in the AFC Championship game. And that was with an inferior defensive line and, in my opinion, an inferior defense.
He was also on a bad ankle.
All right, yeah, fine. But he still got.
And when the rubber needed to hit the road, what happened?
He made a play.
But what this game is going to be determined on, I think it's going to come down to coaching.
I agree.
Andy Reid with his experience and Nick Sirianni, yes, he's been a great coach. He got snubbed for Coach of the Year as a finalist. I don't understand how he's not in the finalist discussion with Brian Daboll. Yes, I understand what he did with the Giants, but he shouldn't be a finalist. He should have been a nominee, but not a finalist. Okay, I can understand Kyle Shanahan because we do know Kyle Shanahan, took the last player in the draft and still did his thing.
Right.
However, why is Nick Sirianni not in the finalists when the man almost went undefeated and only lost 3 games and still made it to the? I mean, I know you don't count the postseason, but when you look at the regular season, I mean, come on.
Yeah, they were the best team in the league, like record-wise. This was a great year of coaching because Doug Peterson, what he did with the Jaguars, I mean, this was just a great year of coaching. But you're not wrong in saying that he was a clear snub. But even with that, I think coaching will matter, and it might come down to coaching and someone making the right adjustment at the right time, or calling the right play at the right time. But even with that, I trust the defensive coordinator of the Eagles more than I trust a guy like Steve Spagnuolo, who was a longtime head coach for the Giants and some other teams. And the only saving grace on defense, in my opinion, that the Chiefs have is Chris Jones might mess around and be the best defensive player this year. Yeah. And it kind of, to me, came out of nowhere. But if there's any guy that's going to give them a chance, it's a guy like him, because he can force Jalen Hurts to do what he hasn't done this year, play scared and force him to make a mistake. Outside of that, they're evenly matched in a lot of ways. So it's kind of like a push. But yes, they clearly have a head and shoulders advantage in terms of quarterback, even with the Eagles having largely the runner-up for the MVP.
The best Jalen Hurts we've seen.
Right. And Andy Reid is clearly the better and more established coach, but Nick Sirianni is no slouch. What he's done over the past 2 years from where he started to now, excellent job. And you're right. He did get snubbed, even though I'm okay with the finalists for coaching.
You okay with the finalists?
I am, only because, like I said, Daboll did an amazing job. And we talked about this. We talked about this like 2 weeks ago. Stop it.
I thought we didn't have that show because we went to Philly. Maybe we did.
I think we did. Because that was.
Well, I know we talked about who we think should be the coach of the year, but we didn't know the finalists at that time.
Well, yeah, we didn't know the finalists. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, but I'm still okay with those 3. And then Pete Carroll, what he did with Seattle. So this year was a great year of coaching. So but I'm okay with the finalists. But saying all that to say, this is I don't remember the last time a Super Bowl has been this evenly matched on both sides. Because even the Rams and last year's Super Bowl,
the
Bengals, like, people were saying, oh, well, the Bengals, like, they pretty much gave them no shot. Right. They said it's the Bengals Super Bowl to lose, and Joe Burrow has arrived. No one's saying one way or another that one team is head and shoulders above. People were saying the Eagles look great, and I could see them winning, but I could also see the Chiefs winning, and I'm not hearing anybody saying, "Oh, it's a blowout," except you.
It's not a blowout. It's still gonna be close.
And the Super Bowl is a blowout. You're being disrespectful.
28. I said 28-17 or 28-14.
I thought you said 28-14.
Okay, it don't matter. Either way.
I gave you an opportunity to correct your mistake, and you doubled down. I can't wait for next week.
I'm telling you what's gonna happen. You just don't want to listen.
Strong and wrong.
You want to pick. You see, you're picking with your heart. I'm picking with my head. You picking with your heart.
Absolutely not.
I understand.
I've given you facts and figures as to logical discussions as to how my hometown Eagles are going to hoist the Lombardi Trophy again. There'll be the second time in like 6 years.
What I do like about this Super Bowl as well, You got two of the probably the best fan bases.
Right.
You know, the Eagles fans gonna show up and them Chiefs fans gonna show up. And they all gonna gather around in Arizona ready to see their team compete. So I do like it's gonna be a college atmosphere with the fan base. I think it's gonna be two great black quarterbacks going at it. And I think it's so symbolic to see them going at it in Black History Month when you alluded to it earlier, when there was a stigma that black quarterbacks couldn't play on this level. And if they did play in college, they had to change positions to you know, because they were seen as an athletic or just a playmaker instead of being able to play a position that requires you to use your brain, use your head. We know quarterback is probably the hardest position to play on the football. Well, one of the hardest positions because the offensive line is hard too. But at the same time, the quarterback has to know what everybody's doing. He has to know a lot. So to see two black quarterbacks, one that took that step forward to show y'all that, hey, I can throw the ball. Yes, I'm athletic. However, I can lead my team. Both of them are great leaders as well. They both of the teams, they rally around their quarterback. Absolutely. You know, when Joe Burrow, them talking about Burrowhead and all that, Kelsey came out and was, hey, it's still Mahomes' house. This is Mahomes' house. And we know what the Eagles do. They rally around Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the driving force. He's the glue to this team. We understand that. However, like I said, it's gonna come down to the experience of the coach. It's gonna come down to the quarterback play of Patrick Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts. And I just think, how are you gonna be able to stop Travis Kelce? But at the same time, Patrick Mahomes, he can spread the wealth. You know, you still have what's his name, Juju Schuster-Smith, and I did say before the season Juju wouldn't be effective. However, I was wrong.
Oh, okay. I was waiting for it. Okay.
I was wrong for that. Yeah. No, the Chiefs don't have a run game. However, that number 10, Pacal or something, he's pretty legit now.
He's an angry runner.
Yeah, he's an angry runner. He got a little speed, and he got a little speed on him. So, but at the end of the day, they don't have the run game that Philly has. But it's an even match. However, I think the experience of the Chiefs is gonna be the determining factor. Although the Eagles do have a lot of experience on the defensive side of the ball, they don't have that same experience on the offensive side of the ball, where it's actually gonna matter because Patrick Mahomes. Yes, the Eagles defense can get to you, but what happens when you can't get to Mahomes and he just doing what he do? You're gonna have to be able to put up points, and I just feel like that's where the game is gonna be unbalanced because it's gonna take both offenses, you know, playing at their best, and I just haven't seen Jalen Hurts in the playoffs play at his best yet, and I haven't been able to see AJ Brown get the opportunity to play at his best in the playoffs. Because they've been able to run through the teams that they recently played these last two rounds.
Okay, my last 2 points, and I'm gonna save the best for last. But the last time Patrick Mahomes was in a Super Bowl against a dominant defense, defensive line especially, what happened?
Did he have a great offensive line? Then his two left tackle and right tackle one day out.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
So you know what happened.
He took that L though, right?
He took the L because you can't do it by yourself. You don't have nobody for you.
You can't.
And what happened? What happened in that season? They went out there and got Orlando Brown. They went out there and got the other guy. I can't remember his name. So you added to the offensive line, and then what happened now? You have one of the best pass blocking offense.
So what happened the last time the Eagles were in the Super Bowl with a dominant defensive line who can get after the quarterback, and they faced a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback in his prime? What happened?
It was a different team.
I didn't ask that. I asked. Answer the question that's asked, sir.
They won. They beat the GOAT.
They won. Beat the GOAT. And they won because they got the right pressure at the right time, correct? Because
with Derek Barnett and
Brandon Graham and Brandon Graham got that strip sack to end the game, essentially, to put the game away.
But you also was facing a quarterback that can't get out the pocket.
That's
facing
fair.
a quarterback that can get out the pocket, and you also didn't face a quarterback that got an arm like a Patrick Mahomes.
That's fair.
Patrick Mahomes on a different level when it comes to throwing the ball.
I'm just saying, you're talking about history. There's history to what I'm saying too. And my last point, and the point that should have started this whole thing, the Super Bowl. For those of you who don't care about football, a Rihanna Fenty concert. A Robin Rihanna Fenty concert is happening, and there's going to be a game around it. Lord have mercy.
We get good Super Bowl. It's going to be a great Super Bowl.
Ooh, man.
Now.
Black History Month is great.
So. Yes, Black History Month is starting off very well. Unfortunately, we did lose Tyree Nichols.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, that was before Black History Month started, but we're dealing with the trauma that came after that. But I think, yes, what you're saying is true. The Eagles did beat the GOAT. They did a lot of great things in that Super Bowl. They had an awesome year. And anytime the Eagles have made it to the Super Bowl, they always had an unbelievable season.
Right.
You know, even when you go back to the Donovan McNabb days when they had T.O. Right. So yes, history could repeat itself. You could beat the GOAT and then you could beat the baby GOAT. We don't know. However, we have seen the Chiefs play on this level.
That's true too.
For years. They have been making it to the playoffs, made it to the AFC Championship last year. Unfortunately, they lost in the nail biter. However, we know what we're gonna get out of Patrick Mahomes. And if his ankle is at least 80% better, or not better than last game, but if his ankle is at least at 80%,
right. Yeah, it's a scary thing. It's scary. Yeah, it's scary. It's scary. But we're equipped for it. We're equipped. We'll see. I'm excited.
We'll definitely see. It's definitely gonna be a good Super Bowl. I do have to honor my bet that I had with my wife and one of her friends. I have to paint my face green, and my wife got the paint in the kitchen. So on Super Bowl morning, I will be painting my face green, and I will be saying "Fly Eagles Fly." After the Super Bowl, I get to come on and fry Eagles fry. Let me get my picture again. Oh. Fry Eagles fry, baby. I'm eating fried. Man, I done had a good year. I done ate frog legs. Now I'm eating eagle wings and eagle legs.
Not this year. Not this year, Chief.
Boy, I done had a good old meal this year. I done had some good meals this year. I had some good meals this year. So I can't wait to get that. I'm actually ordering some wings that day too. And if the Chiefs win this game, I'm going live and I'm eating my wings on live TV. And I'm probably put some food coloring and paint them green so y'all can see I'm eating fried eagle wings. That's all I'm eating. Fried eagle wings, all flats. All flats.
I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all deserve better than this. It's all right. The Eagles gonna do what they do. You know, count them out, and then they're gonna surprise people.
But yeah, so we just want to, like I said, we want to thank you guys for tuning in. I know we went a little long today, but it's the finale. We gotta go out with a bang. But yeah, we definitely appreciate the support, appreciate the comments, appreciate y'all just for supporting us all season as we started this new show, and we hope that you guys enjoyed it. We hope that we brought you laughter, we brought you some knowledge, some just some football. We hope that we were able to display our football knowledge, and we hope that you actually was able to take from this show. And also we hope that you next year and in the years coming that you guys give us some input. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us what you want to see us do better next year, or tell us some things that you want to see us, kind of bring back next year. Who knows? If you have any if you have any feedback, please put it in the chat box. We'll definitely read it and consider it. But like I said, I want to, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all the fans. Thank all the people who supported us. Thank all the people who behind the scenes been to with the logo, man. We definitely love the logo, so shout out to Bentu. We got some cooking up for next season, but I'm gonna zip my mouth with that one. But yeah, we definitely got something for y'all next season. I hope that y'all here, just waiting. I know y'all gonna be anticipating because y'all used to us going live on Saturdays, but we will be back next season. Hey man, what you got for us?
Nah, man. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Thank you everybody who's been rocking with us. 19 episodes.
coming into it, I wouldn't have expected us to have as many, and I'm grateful that we have. And, you know, again, people like Yasuka Knight and Merrick Allard and all the other individuals who have contributed their thoughts and have given us support. We appreciate it. And again, brother, I appreciate you for bringing me on this ride. And hopefully I've done my best to be steel to sharpen your steel, because you're one of the people whose opinions I typically respect, just not on the Super Bowl and some other stuff. But it's beautiful when something you do or you would do for free or you do naturally, you're able to do with someone who you respect and you admire. So I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate that.
You know, and again, this is just the start of a beautiful thing, a beautiful marriage, so to speak.
Yeah.
And man, I'm excited for next season, man. I really am. Like, if this is the ground level, I can't wait till we get to the penthouse, my guy. Okay. So yeah,
we going all the way up. It's gonna be
stuck, man.
Yes,
but
sir.
For those of you, you know, like he said, please feel free to chime in on any of the comments. Feel free to look at previous videos. If there's something you like or something you want to see more of, please feel free to reach out to us. You know, my IG is African_bull, BUL. So if you know, you know. But that's my IG.
I think mine is Fan of Atlanta 365. So
right. Yeah, so yeah, hit us up. You know, let us know what you like, what you didn't like, what you want to see more of. And like my kinfolk said, you know, if you have a show idea, please run it by them. If you have an idea of a segment, or if you want to come on the show, let us know so that we can make this as interactive and engaging as we possibly can. Because while we're doing it for us, because we love to talk about this and we do it anyway, we're also doing it to share it with you guys. So it's going to be as great as you guys contribute to it. But thank you for what you've contributed so far, and I'm excited about what's gonna happen over the next, you know, few seasons and on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. So we would just, like I said, we up out of here, man. Hey, don't forget, go to YouTube right now. Subscribe to Fan of Atlanta 365, the network. You know what I'm saying? The network. Well, we got No Huddle with Jeramy and Hassan. Hopefully resuming next year. We got J&B to Talk of the Dirty South show. Shout out to my boy Bush. And also, you know, Uncle Nephew with my nephew J-Man joining the show. Hopefully that'll resume as well. And then last but not least, you got Fan of Atlanta 365, which I will be giving you guys some content during this off season, because I haven't really been able to give you a lot of Atlanta Falcons this year, because most of my focus went towards No Huddle, and rightfully so. But I will be giving you guys some off season, you know, some off season content, just to kind of, you know, keep me on my feet, keep my momentum going, you know, and all that good stuff. But yeah, we definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in for the whole season. We hope that, like I said, we hope that you enjoy it every Saturday as we went live. You know, because we want you to tune in, want to tune in. So we hope that we was able to give you that before the Sunday games and stuff like that. But you know, definitely go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to Fan of Atlanta 365, the network, hit that notification bell so you can get all the alerts when we post content. Definitely gonna be coming next season. And you know, man, hey, if you can help somebody, lead with love. Never lead with hate, never lead with anger. You know, always lead with love, and you know, just love on everybody, man. And last thing, I guess, happy Black History Month. You know, shout out to all the people that came before us. Shout out to all the people that will be that's here now, and the people that will be, you know, in the future. Shout out to all my Black people. I love y'all. I love everybody, but I love my Black people as well. Anything else we missing?
Hey, nah, man. I love everybody, man. But like in the words of Issa Rae, I'm rooting for everybody Black.
Yes, sir. So so we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here, man. Hey, y'all, we'll see y'all we'll see y'all next season. So hey, y'all take care, man. Y'all be safe out there.
All right.